Welcome to Ring Talk, week 33 of the weekly Goodwin Boxing show. Myself, Martin Theobald, and Steve Goodwin, coming back from holiday last week over in Turkey again.
Yeah, it was great, nice break. Back on Saturday though, we was at the show Saturday, which went well. So
weather good out in Turkey?
Lovely. 34, 35. I don't do the sun though, as you can see.
Yeah, I saw the videos of you and Trevor up. I've done that same drive up through the hills.
Have you? Not to that mountain, that particular mountain.
It may, probably not that one, but I've done one of them. It was in Ola Deniz, which... this is New Ola Deniz. Okay. The fear, because those drivers do not give a shit.
Were you there when the drops were either side of the road and that?
Yeah.
You've probably done that. You've probably done that road then.
I remember because I did the parasailing or whatever it is.
Oh, that was it.
That's
it. You've done it.
Yeah. Yes, oh man, like I was more scared in the car than I was running off the side of it.
Do you know? I won't drive. I sat there. I'm not joking. All the way up there like this. And I actually had I don't do heights, you see.
Yeah.
Scared them donuts at me. But the good news is next year they're putting pods up there. It's going up in
safety
cable
cars.
Yeah, fantastic. It was so good up there though. Since you went up there, it's been totally regenerated.
Yeah, that would have been 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's unbelievable up there now. Anyway, but that was good. That was good.
Then come back to your call on Saturday night.
Yeah. That was Amy's first show. She done really well.
Amy Sinfield.
Yeah, she's done a really good job, and she was really working hard, and she learned a lot, so it was really good for her.
There was a lot of female focus on Saturday night, wasn't there? Because you had Verity Panther doing the MC, and Hannah Rankin got up into the ring, and
Amy was promoting.
Amy promoting.
We got a new female boxer to announce signing next week, so I think it's really good for us. It's really good to see females in boxing in various roles, and I think it's probably fair to say that we're the leading light in developing females, whether it be boxers, MCs, promoters, because you've got Amy and Olivia both promoting.
Yeah.
So we really are. We think it's a really great thing that women are getting involved in boxing.
And speaking of which, you had Sam Smith fighting on Friday.
Sam Smith
up in Leeds.
And she came back after the Commonwealth and won. And I love Sam. She's great and
lovely lady.
But she's going to get. We've got a plan, as we always have. And for Sam, the plan is next March. She'll be, all things being well, back in the big fight.
Excellent. So yeah, touching on Saturday night then, a few highlights for you. Liam Dillon, I couldn't make it unfortunately, but you said Liam Dillon looked particularly good out there.
I was really impressed with Liam Dillon. I think I said to Steve Kipps, his trainer, I think he's like the jewel in the ground. I think he could just be the one of the ones that comes right through. Nobody taking much notice of him, and he's coming through. He's got a relentless style.
Yeah. And
he's got unbelievable stamina. And he is just going to wear down people. You're going to get these boxers come out, pop, 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 and then they're going to get Liam Dillon after about 3 or 4 rounds. And he is just going to work on them. I'm so excited for Liam.
I'm always baffled by Liam, because you look at him, he's got the face of a 10-year-old, the body of a stacked, like, peak 25-year-old, but he's almost square, like a transformer.
I think he could be really special. Really special.
So yeah, then you've got this Saturday coming up.
Yeah, this Saturday coming up there's a few fights on. The Miles Shinkwin Joel McIntyre has been deferred until the 1st of December, subject to board approval. Unfortunately, Miles suffered an injury. First time ever he's pulled out of a fight. It's just unfortunate. So it's going to be delayed till December. But we've got some really, really exciting fights on, and we've got two debutantes and both of them I'm really excited about. Martin Faroux, I think, I've seen some of his amateur stuff. I think, and I know you're going, watch Martin Faroux Saturday. I think he is exceptional.
Isn't he a model as well?
Yeah.
Something there for the women to enjoy.
He is exceptional, and he's got he's taking on Attila Tibor-Nagy. Now, the thing about Nagy is the weaker ones struggle against him.
Yeah.
The good ones really, really dominate him, and I would expect Martin to dominate him.
Put him away? Is that a lot to ask on debut?
Yeah, it is a lot to ask, isn't it? But I also think, come from amateur professional, but I think it is a lot to ask. But and again, it's not all about power, and the power will develop, but I'm not really too bothered about that. It's how he beats him that I'm looking forward to. And I'm really looking forward to Poison Covey Donker as well, as taking on Ivan Godor, a lightweight. And I think there are both of those two are two champions. They are going to be winning titles, and they're two of the most exciting debuts I've coming on both shows at the same time.
One thing I forgot from last Saturday, which I've glossed over, was Dwayne Sinclair winning the semi-final of the Fight Cup. From what I've heard from everyone who was there, it was a massively impressive performance from Dwayne.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what was also, and Dominic Felix really put up a battle as well. These Fight Cups really, people rise to the occasion. And Dwayne, unfortunately, Dwayne's got to wait now for the final because Jordan and Daryl are going in the Ultimate Boxer in November. So he'll have to wait for the final. So I'm going to have a chat with Dwayne this week and see where we go, what we do in the meantime. The southern area's a little bit muddled and tied up with Kurt Garvey, who's still got medical problems, and the whole thing's a bit of a mess at the moment. I mean, that title has been sat on for so long with the Anthony Yard debacle. Then Kurt Garvey is sitting on it with mandatory with an injury. It's just been a mess for all the light heavyweights to sit around and wait. But yeah, so Dwayne's really impressive, and I hope next year there's no doubt he'll be fighting for titles. If he wins the Fight Cup, I think the Fight Cup will just, but I think there's lots of opportunities for Dwayne, and I'm excited for him. He's a really lovely guy.
Yeah, it's a shame. I think that's the first fight I've missed of his career, Dwayne. Which
you need to watch it on DVD. Really good fight.
Yeah, no, I've only heard good things about it. Rob Martin was waxing lyrical about it on Twitter.
It was really done really well. And there's lots of other good performances last Saturday. I don't want to gloss over everybody, but with 17 fights, I don't want to go for every single one on here.
And you'll only forget someone.
And also on here, it'll bore the people that are watching it. So I think they were the two. I would say the major highlights of the show. There's a lot of other good performances, but they were the two main highlights of the show.
Yeah, and then this Saturday, Linus
Udofia's back, and he's back on. He's doing a 6-rounder. Unfortunately, we were hoping to get Taylin Jones in the ring for the Southern Area title, but they've made a fight with Taylin Jones and Felix Cash.
Right.
I predict the fight will not happen. And I think it's an anti-Linus Udofia tactic to avoid fighting Linus. I hope I'm wrong, but if I'm not wrong, they should all be ashamed of themselves.
We'll find out.
But they should be. Listen, if I'm wrong, I'll apologise to them. I don't think I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And all the people involved in this charade, if it is a charade, should be ashamed of themselves for blocking Linus's career. If you don't want to fight him, Tay, walk away, vacate the title. If you're going to fight Felix Cash, I'll take my hat off to you and say full credit to you to take that fight. I don't believe you are. I don't believe you will. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, you touched on the Ultimate Boxer thing there. It's probably something that we've not really discussed too much on here.
No.
Getting a number of your lads into that. So TV platform, the O2 Indigo.
Yeah. First Friday in November. You going to go?
I don't really do Fridays very much for personal reasons, for my lad and stuff. So. I'll see what I can do. You didn't give the home one, did you, either? No. Fridays don't work for me that well. Yeah. But
you'll be able to watch on telly, won't you? So
that's true.
I mean, you've got four lads: John McCallum, Jordan Joseph, Dale Church, and Joel McIntyre, all in the Ultimate Boxer. I tell you what, though, it's a good competition. They've got this kid Shakan Pitters from up in Birmingham.
He's like 6'9".
6'5". He's only fighting about 30 hours. He stopped that Davititis on Saturday.
Right, the
big thing, the 14-stone cruiserweight. So he obviously hits hard. So Shakan Pitters obviously can bang.
That's the one who gave Mark Little. Yeah, he'd give anyone a nightmare for 2 rounds.
Shakan Pitters knocked him out in 2 rounds.
Cool.
So he must be decent. But it, to me, looks like he'll struggle to get to light heavyweight. But he's in. Sam Smith, who fought for the Southern Area title, he's in. Dex Spellman, decent fighter, he's in. And an undefeated guy called Sam Horsfell's in as well. Really good competition. It's going to be a really good night of boxing. And I'm hoping that our lads acquit themselves well, go the whole way, and one of them wins it.
Yeah, so it's the 3-round format, isn't it? Exactly. Whereby you have to have 3 fights to win it, 3 rounds each. It's a big ask, isn't it? Because you're doing 3 rounds and then you're stopping for, I don't know, maybe half an hour. Then you've got to get straight back into 3 rounds. Then,
because of strategy, you realise John Charles had 2 prize fight winners,
Waddy
and Yacine Machi.
I don't remember that one.
No, I was looking after him at the time. You've seen.
I don't remember.
2000 and I think it was 11. He won
prize fight.
It was welterweight. Do you remember the time when him and Junior Witter kept piling out the ring? Welterweight. Yeah, Yacine Machi. So Don Charles actually had 2 winners of prize fight. He trains them in a specific way for it.
Yeah.
So he's got Jordan now. So that's going to be really interesting. But he's got the experience of winning 2 of them, and I think that's a big advantage for Jordan in the competition.
It'll be interesting how Jordan copes back. Jordan's a very he's a slow start, but he's a thoughtful boxer. Whereas the last Ultimate Box, it was a lad from Northampton that won it, wasn't it? Who just fucking windmilled his way through the first couple of fights.
But if Jordan, take Jordan as an example, if he boxes like he boxes in his fights, he's not winning anything.
No, I'd agree.
But he knows that, so he's going to adapt himself. Darryl Church will come out and have a real go. I think Darryl's fit for a chance. Joel McIntyre, is he a 3-round fighter? We don't know.
Yeah.
If it was over 10 rounds, Joel McIntyre wins out every day of the week and twice on a Sunday. But it's 3 rounds.
John McCallum.
And John McCallum, he was a really good amateur.
Yeah.
So the point with John McCallum is, over 3 rounds, he has the track record as an amateur over 3 rounds of winning multiple titles. So our lads have got great chances. I'm really looking forward to that night.
Yeah, they've got great chances. So is everyone else in there, though, as you said.
Exactly.
There.
I wouldn't rule out any of them.
Yeah, it's a good lineup.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So yeah, that's first Friday of November.
Yeah, so I'll be there, and then I'm going on holiday on Sunday down to Cornwall. So hopefully I'll be celebrating one of our. I want all of our fighters to do well. It'd be great if 2 of our guys get to the final.
Yeah, it would be.
It'd just be great, and I want them all to do well. They're all 4 of them are really nice guys, and it's their time to shine. And again, what we've done as a management company is we've given 4 of our fighters a chance to shine on a television platform, and the winner's got a very good chance of going on to great things. I think Ultimate Boxer and Ben Chellum, who runs it, I think they've got a great concept, and I think they've got a chance of also developing a stable. So the winner's Ultimate Boxer could feature on the next Ultimate Boxer and things like that. And I think it's a really good concept, and hopefully it will benefit the winner going forward as well.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed I surprisingly enjoyed the last one. I wasn't particularly looking forward to it, and then it just had some right scraps. And there was Isa McLeod, who was ex kind of almost fringe GB level, who got found out against lads who could just go in there and outwork him for short fights. But
what's better about this one, and I think, is that when you pick the last one, all the kids were like 3-4-0 unbeaten. You've now got a mixture of fighters. You've got the Shakan Pitters, who's been on a Matchroom card. You've got the Joel McIntyre, former English champion. You've got Dex Spellman, who is up at English level. You've got Jordan Joseph, former Southern Area title challenger. You've got kids that have been there at higher levels.
Sam Smith fought for
Southern Area. And then you've got the kids coming through at the bottom. It's a really good mix this time.
Yeah.
And I like the mix better, because I think you need to have names in there that people will be aware of, as well as these up and coming youngsters. I think it makes more attraction for the public.
Yeah. Names we're aware of: Nicola Adams.
Fantastic. She's got an interim world title at flyweight on the 6th of October at Leicester. Nicola's, obviously her aim is to unify all the divisions before she retires. She's not going to be in it for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
And hopefully she'll win the interim title, and then go on to win all the 4 versions of the world title. That's her aim before she retires. And she's been a pleasure to work with, and I'm delighted that in association with her promoters that this opportunity has been secured.
Yeah, good luck to her on that one.
Yeah.
That's up in Leicester, isn't it?
Yeah, Leicester on the 6th of October, so I'll obviously be there.
Yeah, same night you've got a card down in
I know, I'm promoting in one place and representing a world title interim challenge in another, so I'm going to go down to London, shoot up to Leicester, and then just juggle my time there. So.
And the card this Saturday, I don't think we gave out details about doors.
Doors are 4:30, first bout's at 5 o'clock. It's action-packed, 16 fights. There's some really, really good fights on there. As I said, these two debutantes are exciting to watch. Linus Udofia, let's just run through it very briefly. Adrian Martin, who I'm going to guide towards titles next year. He's going to be winning major titles next year. William Webber, who has been a pleasure to deal with since he came from Matchroom.
That Joanne Goodridge fight earlier this year.
Yeah.
I thought maybe William might ease himself back into it.
Just comes in, doesn't he?
Just came in.
But you know what? He wasn't. I don't believe he was well looked after where he was before. And him and his father, Paul, they're lovely, lovely people, and I'm so delighted to be representing him. It does give you. This is what makes boxing good, when you could try and help somebody turn something around. Where you don't.
He's got a talent there.
Oh, 100%.
He's only 19 years old as well, isn't he?
AD Burden, my little pet project. I always call him my pet project, AD.
Yeah.
But there's a long story behind. One day we'll write a book about how, if he does become a big champion, we'll write a little book. And I always say to his dad, he's been a little project of mine since we started.
I love his dad, because I always end up chatting with him at shows. And I always chat to him about who I want to see AD fight next. I'm not unrealistic about it, but like lads around he goes, I'll fight anyone. We'll fight anyone.
But it's my job. And
we'll fight anyone.
Do you know what? He would. If I said to you tomorrow, you're going to fight Yard, he goes, right, I'll have that.
Yeah. But I chat with AD as well, and whenever I see him, we have the same standard kind of conversation you have with most boxers on a fight night. And I say to him, you feeling alright? He's like, Might win, might lose, might knock him out, he might knock me out. We'll see how it goes.
I know, he's great though, isn't he?
Doesn't give a shit about it.
But it's my job to guide the career through.
Yeah.
John Harding, we've had him on here. I'm really looking forward to his first fight under our banner.
Under Leon as well, isn't he?
Under Leon. Angelo Bevilacqua, an all-action Italian fighter.
Yeah.
He looked really exciting last time. Prince Brady, who had an up-and-down fight with Edward Baldwin.
What a debut, yeah.
He's back. Alec Wilkie's got ID Hill on the show.
Love Id Hill.
Yeah.
It was his, who's he fought? Sanjeev Sahota was the last time I saw him.
It was a great fight, was there?
In the Brentwood,
yeah. Yeah, it was a great fight. So he's really good. So I'm looking forward to him. The one I can't wait to see in the home corner is...
Eric McConzo.
Got it. As you know, I love Eric as a person. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
He is.
I love him to bits.
The Congo Warrior.
And I can't wait to... I'm going to help do everything in my power to get that man to win a title. Because he deserves it. He's just been a pleasure to deal with.
If he wins a title, that'd be a great story.
And Josh Burnham, I'm telling you, he didn't have a trainer after the Ted Bammy debacle, and I hooked him up with Josh Burnham. That's one of my jobs, and I thought these two could really gel. My God, they've gelled. It's like a marriage made in heaven. So I'm delighted for them. Mark Little, one of my favourite.
One of your favourite
fighters.
people, I think.
Yeah, I love Mark. Again, the one thing that I was gutted about recently was I missed his 30th birthday party because I was going to go.
Plus that, surely.
No,
I've been up close to Mark.
Yeah, because I wanted to go to that, and Derek Chisel Takam was on the same night, so I had to go. So I was really gutted to miss that.
Lovely bloke, Mark.
Yeah.
What's he, 8-0 now? Is he 9-0 maybe?
7 or 8-0.
But he's in exciting fights.
And you've got to remember, he come from the unlicensed scene, not with an amateur background, and he's really coming along. And Paul Cook's a brilliant trainer, but he just needs that. We need to pitch him right when we go for the titles.
Yeah.
Jack Hughes, who I keep saying I love them all, but Jack Hughes is nutty.
He's reinvented himself.
He's brilliant.
He's gone away.
But do you know what he does? He's a man that will fight anybody. He wants to do it. You know, these fighters we're talking about here, every one of them. I'll fight anybody. I'll fight anybody. I don't have these. I'm scared to fight him. I'm scared. We don't have that under the Goodwin banner. We have proper fighters. We don't have these Facebook fighters and the fantasy fighters who try and avoid fights. Every one of mine wants to fight, and it's brilliant to represent them. Jack Hughes is going on. I've got something in plan for Jack after this fight, but I'm not. Again, I can't announce it, but I'm hoping I'm going to put Jack in a really big fight. If everything goes bad, on the undercard of Camacho Iqbal on the 17th of November.
How hard is it with him? Because you're working in a very limited, shallow kind of talent pool, aren't you? At super flyweight, there aren't that many about.
No, but we never go.
Okay.
I've got something lined up, which I'll tell you about off air. And then we got Chris Davis fighting in his first 8-rounder, and he's making good progress with his dad Reg. So he's doing really well. And then we've got Sam Gilly of Rod Julian's on the card as well. Good, promising welterweight. He's on as well. So really good pool of talent coming out this weekend. I'm emotionally attached to a lot of these fighters, as you can probably gather. And I just want to help them progress and win their titles and make a great career out of boxing for them. But it's exciting. So if you're not around, come down and look. A lot of these fighters you see, the Linus Udofias, A.D. Burdens, Mark Littles, Adrian Martins, all fighters on the verge of titles, and then you've got these young kids at the bottom. We've got some special talents tomorrow, so get down to York all Saturday and see some of these kids, because you're witnessing champions of next year and some people who are potential stars of the sport making their debut.
There's a few people that watch this that are coming down to it as well.
Oh,
so Riku, whose name gets thrown about every now and then, Dan Frost, I think, is coming down. Rob Martin. Paul Altai, I think, might be down. So a few of the people.
So we're giving them a bit of a taste as to what to expect, because there's a real lot of talent to watch on Saturday. Really good lot of talent.
Yeah. So good luck. Enjoy it on Saturday night. We're going to move on to questions now. As usual, I've been unprepared and not printed anything out, but I'm professional like that. So
it works. How's your prospective interview going, by the way?
Oh, what, with Edward?
Yeah, it's happening.
It's not fucking happening, is it? You see him.
Shall I ask him next time I see him?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, I will do.
After he threw me under Transformers bus.
I will actually ask him for you.
Yeah, do it.
When he speaks to me next time about doing a deal for whoever it is, I'll actually ask him.
Tell him you'll do the deal when he rings me. Tell him to ring me there and then.
And then we'll do the deal?
Yeah. You'll knock $5,000 off if he does the interview.
Okay.
Question from Andrew Fairley. It's on the back of the weekend. Hi, Mike. With a great win for Dave Birmingham, who beat Anesu Twala at the weekend.
Yeah.
At the weekend, how long before he gets an area shot?
It's not my problem.
He's a Michael Ballingham fighter, isn't he?
I don't manage him, so I've got the champion Jemana Kimiro. I've also got some other really good lightweights coming through. I like David, I like Michael.
Not your problem.
Not my problem.
Also, if Shinkwin unfortunately injured, will we still be seeing the third match with McIntyre now he's in the light heavy?
Yes,
December?
we're rescheduling that for the 1st of December.
An interesting one here, Craig Scott, who'd written a fantastic
Do you know
article.
what? That was a brilliant article, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant article.
And so if anyone hasn't read it, find it. It's on the Fight Talk website.
Read it, because honestly, it says it as it is, and it's really true. It's really good. I want to pick up on something about the article that it didn't pick up on, which I will address in a minute, but not that he missed anything, probably didn't know something about the article, but it was a brilliant article.
Yeah, he'd sent it to me as a bit of a preview to have a read
Fantastic.
through it.
Let me tell you, I will actually, let me address the one bit that was missing on the article. So Bobby Woods retired from boxing because he was having trouble selling tickets, right? I manage Bobby Woods. If you are, when we speak to boxers, which I know the questions coming in, we speak to boxers and run through the whole thing with them. What do you think a boxer should do if they're having trouble selling tickets?
Call you.
And what would I then do if they're having trouble selling tickets?
Give them advice.
Give them advice, help to generate some promotional activity.
Because there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, but I can't buy the sales, but what I can do, like I did with A.D. Burden, is helped his ticket sales turn around. You can give them advice, tell them how to do it, give them some guidance and help and promotional activity.
It's a fantastic document someone wants to write for you. Send them that.
You've got that. And we've got documents that Martin has written for the boxers when they come to us with problems, right? And boxers have used that and it's helped their ticket sales. Bobby Woods retired on Instagram, no phone call.
Right.
So he hasn't. I still haven't spoken to him. His trainer didn't know he'd retired. We didn't know he'd retired. I've been busy obviously since I got back, but he's obviously chosen to retire. But he didn't exhaust. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
He didn't exhaust every opportunity or avenue before making the
decision.
Right. Because Richie Gray, I don't know if you listen to...
Oh, he's great, Richie Gray. I haven't listened to... I know he's done a thing on...
Yeah, Fight Talk podcast. He works with Sam O'Reilly on that. He did a fantastic monologue about it, basically. Because he had to retire with dodgy hands. Yeah. Unfortunate for him. You know, he was going places. He was in exciting fights. But he's had to retire. And he talks on there about, as boxers, are you doing everything that you can to go out and secure the sponsorship? So are you putting a shirt and tie on and knocking on the door of every business? And are you doing it, if a business says no, are you doing it again in 6 months, in 12 months, and keeping your face recognised?
And that's what he did. He had a good support, right? Some of these boxers aren't doing that. And I have a thing about, I know people go for tickets. If you can't, Bobby said he can only sell 25 tickets. I mean, if a boxer's, hasn't got the drive, because it's like starting at the bottom. When you're at the bottom and you're not on the TV, it's like doing an apprenticeship in a job, right? It's like going on to do an electrician job and being paid 50 quid a week and making the coffee. That's what professional boxing is like, and that's what we tell them.
Yeah.
You've got to have the real desire to want to do it. And I've had lots of boxers ring up and say, advice on tickets, can we help? Every single one of them has been able to turn it around. We've given them your thing's got, I think your thing's got about 40 or 50 boxers have got that. And it is just, everything helps them. I was just surprised. I think I was away in Turkey and I read it, I thought, what the hell?
Yeah.
So, whether it really is solely that, and I don't know about speaking till I speak to him, but there may be other issues as well. But Bobby has got a bigger support than a 25 support thing, and he gave it up far too easily, in my opinion. I hope maybe he might reflect in a month or two and then come and sit down with us and then we'll try and help him, because it doesn't sound... I probably think there's probably a couple of other things involved as well.
Yeah. Alright, the question from Craig. Following my article on the business side of boxing for newly signed professionals, is this something you sit and discuss with them and their team? The guys that struggle with tickets, is that something they make you aware of before their debut, or is it over-optimism on their part?
Right, none of that. When a fighter comes to sign with us, let's go into the boxing. Lots of managers out there do not tell them. They do not spell it out to them.
Yeah.
Some managers, believe it or not, don't want to spell it out to them because they want them to pass their medicals and then turn them into journeymen and get 25% off them each week, right? So, awful lot of boxers that are second-hand boxers that come to me have never had it explained. We sit down with a boxer, we tell them all the good things we do, and every boxer that I've signed will tell you this, and then I go, I will say to them, now we're on to the bad bits.
Yeah.
And here's the bad bits. No sugarcoating. This is what it is. This is how we can help you. This is what you do if you don't sell. If you're struggling, come and speak to us. This is how we do it. And we will spend ages and ages with them. And if they are struggling, and we think a boxer is struggling, we will say, why have you struggled? What's the thing? How do we do it? We work with them to help them. So we can do no more.
Yeah.
But if, for example, a boxer doesn't tell us he's got a problem,
then how can you help?
then how can we help? We had another boxer who was obviously, I'm not going to mention his name, who was struggling with tickets, kept pulling out, and subsequently, but he pulled out 3 fights in a row, and there was always doesn't feel flat, feels flat, doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know you're on about.
It probably wasn't that. Probably because he wasn't selling tickets, but he never told us.
Yeah.
If you'd say to us, he was pulling out. We were booking flights for opponents, losing 600 quid, pulled out. Pulling flights for opponents, pulled out, costing us a load of money. If we'd known what the real problem was, we could have addressed it.
Yeah.
We can only address something. It's like having a marriage, right? If your wife or husband's pissing you off, and you don't tell them they're pissing you off, you're never going to sort your marriage out. So you've got to be able to say, you're pissing me off, this is what's upsetting me, let's sort it out. Same with a boxer, you've got to talk, and then you can actually have a relationship. But don't keep it to yourself. If a boxer cannot sell tickets or is struggling to sell tickets, talk to your manager. Get your manager to help you, right? If your manager, a lot of managers out there will help you, and they will try. If your manager doesn't want to help you, get him to release you and find another manager who will help you.
Yep.
I can't say any more than that.
We'll move on. Colin at Sport Agency, CM Sport Agency. Would you put smaller shows in numbers of the fights you put in? Would you put smaller shows on if you had big sponsorship for a show? So at the moment, say you've got 15 on a card.
Let's get across why we have so many fights on. Any promoter has so many fights on. The costs over the last 3 years, doctors. £600 a doctor, and they work in shifts, right?
Yep.
So
and you need 2, don't you?
Apparently.
An anaesthetist being.
Yeah, apparently, what you have last week, and I'm telling you how this, so you understand this. You have 6 doctors at a show last week, right? £600 each, and they swap after half the night. They don't even stay for the whole night. They do shifts, so they do half a show for 600, and then half a show for 600, right? So you're paying £3,600 in doctors.
Jesus.
Now, if they're doing a 9-fight card on their own, they get paid about 350 quid.
Right.
They do a 14-fight card, they do 7 fights for £600. Can you explain the logic? No.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to have more fights on to try and make it work. But that's not even helped by the way that the system works with doctors and medicals. The costs have risen. Ambulances used to be £300 each. You're now paying £1,300 for 2 ambulances. You've got to have 2 ambulances because if the first ambulance goes, you can't continue the show. The costs are out of control. Therefore, you have to have fights on to try and break even. That's the problem. And that's even with us selling tickets to the public directly. It's really becoming difficult to break even. So going back to the question, would you have smaller shows? Well, the answer is you wouldn't need financially to have as many bouts on, but then you've also got to look at the general public. If you put 7 fights on of 6 rounds each on, or with 1 10-rounder, are they getting value for money?
Yep.
So I'm not too sure. I think an ideal card probably is around 10 or 11 bouts, but once you hit 10 bouts, you go to the £600 in shifts per doctor. So it's all financially implicated.
I mean, also there's the other issue that if you're talking about a stable at any point between 80 and 100 fighters, you need to make sure they're all active.
And the problem you've got is if you therefore split them up into smaller shows, you still got the same cost per show.
Yeah.
So each promoter is doing it. All the promoters are going to turn around to me and say, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I've got no chance of making money, I'm going to lose.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. It's one of the biggest shows for economic reasons. The question is if you had sponsorship, yeah, then you probably wouldn't need to do 15. If you had enough sponsorship, you'd probably run shows of 10 or 11 bouts. But something else that I want to carry about bouts. On the 15th of September, right, we have added more fights towards the end of the show. It's Josh's show. We have lost 13 fights, pull-outs for injury. 13 pull-outs.
Yeah.
So if we'd started with 16 fights and 13 pull-outs, you have no show. So you have to continually put fights on to get back to the shows. You can sometimes start with 21 fights and end up with 12.
Yeah.
So it's really, really difficult. So if you take on smaller shows and have sponsorship, so a sponsor comes along and he says, right, we'd like you to put a show on, we'll do a 12-bout card. Put a 12-bout card on, you come to the day of 7. Are the public getting value? It's a really difficult one, the size of shows. So I think you can
always err on the side of a longer.
Yeah, you want to make sure that the public are getting value. If the public want to come for 4 hours instead of 6, we can come for 4 hours instead of 6. But those that want to stay for 6 get more action.
Or come for 2, go for dinner, come back for 2.
I don't think it's a big problem.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Moving on. What are we up to? Oliver McManus. Thoughts on McIntyre entering Ultimate Boxer, if any thoughts at all?
Well, the thoughts are, as I've covered before, Joel is ready now, he just wants to fight.
Yeah.
And the question is, he's obviously, in my opinion, favourite on paper to win the tournament, but Joel is not a 3-round fighter. And often with the prize fighter formats, and Joel will admit this, the guys that go in there and are the seasoned championship fighters don't win it.
Yeah.
And so that's what he said. But he wants to go in and have a go. Whatever happens is he's going to fight Mal Shinkwin for the English title.
So right place, right time.
Right place, right time.
Else to do.
Then he's got the English title afterwards. Win or lose or draw, he still fights for the English title. So the thoughts are, it's an opportunity for Joel. And you've got to remember, it's TV exposure, chance to earn decent money.
Yep. Next steps for John Pilata, who fought Saturday night.
Keep busy. He's going again on the 13th of October. Keep him active. I'm hoping to see him out twice more this year. Keep him busy next year, and next year crack on, start going for the Southern Areas English and other titles. I think we're touring the thing of developing him with Don Charles, but he wants to keep as active as he can.
Yeah.
So he's a very exciting talent. Very exciting talent.
With heavyweights, do you think Hughie Fury beats Pulev?
No.
That's a big ask, that, isn't it, out in Bulgaria?
Well, he might beat him, but he might not get the decision.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying. I think it's. To say that whether he beats him, I'm saying whether he gets a decision. He may well beat him, but not get a decision.
Does he get the win on paper?
I don't think Hughie punches hard enough to stop him. Therefore, he's got to win it on points. To win on points in Bulgaria is a massive, massive ask.
Yeah. I was watching an interview of Peter Fury earlier. He's just such an
smart,
engaging man, Peter Fury.
That's why Tyson Fury does not beat Deontay Wilder.
Without Peter being there.
Yeah. Don't worry, that'll be my next big bet, Wilder to beat Fury.
John Bailey, when will we see Linus back out on a TV card? Haymakers seem to have gone quiet with Cody and Joe, Cody Davis, Joe Joyce fighting on Sky cards and then the USA.
That's why Linus is fighting on our show this weekend.
Yeah.
So because there's nothing happening with Haymaker at the moment, so we're getting Linus out. We'll take things step by step.
Yeah. Thomas Lyons, what's your assessment of the small hall scene and the progress it's made in recent years? It's quite a sweeping.
Has it made progress?
That's a good question.
Who says it's made progress?
Yeah. There's your answer.
I think, and I'm not going to. Some promoters have definitely improved the small hall scene.
Yeah.
Some of it is really dross. It's just total dross. And sometimes, you're getting fighters building up on the shows. Some shows are better than others. I don't actually believe the small hall scene is any better than it was 3 years ago.
Right.
And I could sit here all day and produce some of the cards and show you what shows that were out 3 years ago and say they're probably better than the ones they are now. A lot of the small hall promoters, all they're doing, and I'm saying we have to do something, is that they'll put their guys in at 9-0, 10-0, and they'll be fighting 3 wins and 100 losses or whatever. You've got to, at time, try and get your fighters to title level and engage them in titles and then move them on. We're all in a situation where fighters learning their trade, so those sort of fights are going to be there. But you've got to develop the fighters so that there are lots of decent fights, at least 2 or 3 fights at the top of the card. That's what we're trying to develop, say 13th of October, 17th of November.
Yeah.
Title fights, 50-50s at the top of the card. And we've had a bit of a nursery period. And our shows, for example, that we've been doing for the last 6 to 9 months, I would say are below the standard of what they were 2 years ago. The standard of the shows going from October, November are going to be much higher. But I think when I look at a lot of the small hall cards, I look at a lot of them and say, on average, they're not worth going to. Some of them are.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about ours, by the way, this is just a generalisation. I don't know, what do you think?
It's a difficult one. I saw one, I won't name the promoter, from the weekend, and I genuinely thought, like, I don't even know how that's a card. Like, it was very small and the fights were shite. I won't name the promoter on it.
No,
and I just thought, who's buying a ticket to that? I don't know, maybe it was a dinner show or something, I'm not sure. But there are times that I keep an eye on things up and down the country. So somebody like Steffi Ball seems to get it right an awful lot more than he gets it wrong up north, and I think he does a fantastic job.
So that what Steffi's got up there, when you're the only promoter up there and the fighters have to fight, he can put them all together. He's been smart enough to put them all together and make great shows.
Yeah, so you've got Phil Jeffries and Steve Wraith up around there, haven't you? They seem to put on okay cards. I wouldn't say they're on the same level.
What I'm saying is, though, but when you say has it improved, Phil Jeffries and Steve Wraith, I'm not criticising them as promoters, actually, by the way, they do okay. But they're the same shows they put on 3 years ago.
Yes.
The same level of shows. They're not improving. The question was about succeeding and doing. No, I don't think the cards are improving. So no, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, but I think these things go through phases whereby you have ups and downs. And I think at the moment your stable has been you've lost a lot of the top end and you're breeding the bottom end. That means in the back end of this year,
top end retired, or
retired or moved on or done whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
But there's a whole generation of fighters coming up that probably started 2 years ago, that the likes of Dwayne Sinclair, Linus Udofia, that are coming up and they will fill those gaps.
Brad Pauls.
Yeah, Brad Pauls,
etc.
Dean Richardson, that all need just that final touching up, and then they're ready to go. So
and the better ones will then move on to TV platforms.
Yeah,
okay? That's what happens. That's what Small Hall does. It breeds the TV platform fighters,
and it filters out an awful lot. By the time you get to those that move on to be TV fighters, there's an awful lot that have fallen away down the system.
If not been maybe not good enough, or got fed up with it, or whatever.
Or there are some that are happy at that level and want to stay at that level. But yeah, so there's this whole generation at the moment that will be coming up by the end of it. I think we said it about 6 months ago. That
we said end of this year it's going to really start, and these shows we're going to be putting on from the 13th of October onwards look to be amazing. I mean, I've told you a couple of the fights I'm working on at the moment. They're really good fights.
Yeah.
And the 50-50 fights people won't know. This is what we want to see. When I go to a show, even if it's a Goodwin show that's franchised to one of our promoters, I want to sit there and be entertained. Apart from that, I want to see my boxer develop, but I would like to see fights that I think, God, that's great. The 30th of October, K. Prosper, Danny Connor, Jeffrey Ofori, Jamani Camiro, Dion Juma, Jose Lopez.
Yep.
Justin Menzie against Curtis Felix. They're cracking fights.
Yep. And even if one falls off, there's still enough quality within it.
One has fallen off because Danny Cousins, Ozzy Jerby has had to move to the undercard of Camacho Iqbal. That's another great card. But this is what we're trying to do. Now, when we're at that stage, then you can say to me, oh, our cards then are ahead of the game of what they were. You know, that's different. But at the moment, it would be wrong to say that I think that's a generalisation. There's a couple of shows. A show coming up in London end of this month. There's not a couple of good headlines if that survives. But generally, I don't feel that it's any better than it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Yep. All right. John Bailey, does Steve watch MTK shows that are streamed? What does he think of the quality of the show production, fights and ticket sales?
I don't really want to comment. I don't think it's right to sit and comment on.
I think that's fair. On
MTK and Lee Eaton and everything like that. And I think it would be wrong for me to do that. I don't really, I want to say positive things, and there's some positive things I can say. There's some negative things I could possibly say.
I'll say it.
Well, can you? I don't feel I want to comment on that.
So for a start, Lee Eaton, all that I've had to do with Lee Eaton's a lovely bloke, doing a fantastic job, coming from the unlicensed scene. Obviously picked up an awful lot of stuff that probably goes against the grain of what goes on in professional boxing. So he used to stream his stuff there, and that's been picked up and used here. Whether that's commercially good, bad, indifferent, that's not for me to say. I don't see the numbers. But the stuff like, I love his lighting rig. I think that looks great, and the disco ball above the ring. All that stuff I think has probably come from the old EBA days.
Yeah, it has, yeah.
It looks fantastic, I think. I don't think the shows, because they've got this Box Nation deal now, haven't they? So they were unlucky. The Scottish one that kicked it off up in Glasgow was meant to have the guy that beat Zelfa Barrett, Ronnie Clark, against somebody else. That fell off, so you were left with a relatively a show that, let's be honest, shouldn't be on TV. And that's not being...
The same thing happened to Wales as well, didn't it?
Yeah, and again, that's unlucky. And then you look at the Irish show, that's meant to have David Price, Sean Turner, and Sean Turner's picked up an injury. Declan Geraghty's picked up an injury in the other one. But, to be fair, that's got Tyrone McCulloch, Josh Kennedy.
Good fight.
Two lads that you know well. That's a
good fight.
Cracking fight.
Really good fight.
I think that's probably the definition of a trade fight, isn't it? In that David Price, Sean Turner would have brought in a lot more casual viewers with David Price's name attached to it. Tyrone McCulloch, Josh Kennedy.
That wasn't actually a good fight, though.
No, it wasn't really, but people know the David Price name,
I think
so they might have.
Yeah.
So I think it's a struggle for them at present to be able to put together those cards. They've got a massive array of talent within their stables. They're obviously building hubs around the country. I think they will be better in 12 months' time and be able to justify having TV cards. At the moment, they're not ones that I would go out of my way to watch, but I think in 12 months they probably will be. Again, it then comes down to, would you pay the £12 a month for Box Nation, with that being the domestic side of it? I don't know. It depends how much you want to see those fighters. But I think their shows look really good. Some of the cards have suffered, but everybody's cards suffered, haven't they? It's, I'm sure competition is good for everyone, so you'd hope that they will be able to put it together.
Absolutely.
From Beyond the Ropes, boxing podcast. So a good bunch of lads who are putting on a show in September at a cinema that I've forgotten the name of. In London, they've got Spencer Fearon going. Yeah, so they've got Spencer Fearon and Mark Prince going down there. They're going to show one of the Rocky films, then they're going to do a Q&A with Spencer and Mark Prince afterwards. And the money they raise from it is going towards the Kyan Prince charity. So Mark Prince's son that got stabbed in London and died. So the money they raise from that is going towards it. So if you're free on a Thursday night in September, check the Beyond the Ropes Twitter account. They will have more details about tickets and things. But it's a good opportunity to go along, watch a Rocky film, have a beer, speak with other boxing fans, etc. I've plugged that for you. How does Steve deal with fighters who have ambitions beyond their abilities?
Manage it.
As you'd have to in any workplace, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you can have... You've got experience. I've had that with in my horse racing business. You had owners of horses who thought their horses were going to win the Derby. They were never going to win the Derby. So you had to manage the expectations and work with them. My job is to get every single boxer that I look after to achieve the maximum their abilities allow. And that's what I do. If they believe they're going to be a world champion, well, they've still got to go through the routines of winning the title. So nature will take its course. But what my job is to try and not let them get carried away, and because really it doesn't really matter if they think they'll be world champion, unified world champion, European champion, British champion. I've got to navigate them through to as far as their ability will allow, and if they're wrong, it's going to be proven in the ring.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. So you've just got to make sure they don't rush too fast.
Yeah. Which there is a question. Okay, with the amount of pay-per-view cards fans could have to stump up for before the end of the year, are certain channels and promoters taking the mick, and could it have an impact moving forward if fans start to realise they're taking them for a ride with certain pay-per-view not worthy of being such?
Totally. I think it's getting a total piss take.
Yeah, I agree, and
I blame plenty for it. It's really difficult. Some of the big fights you put together, people want pay-per-view money now, but what's basically happened, as you put a pay-per-view card there, fighters that were previously going to be content with non-pay-per-view money are now demanding pay-per-view money. That's the problem for fight. Oh, I want pay-per-view money if I'm doing that fight. Well, it's not really a pay-per-view fight, and they're demanding it, and then everybody then financially wants to jump on the bandwagon. You know, I'm not going to go for everyone. Is Frampton Warrington a pay-per-view card? Not for me. No way. And are some of these others pay-per-views? No, they're not.
Frampton Quigg was one of the more questionable ones, but it was a unification. Both lads were unbeaten at the time. You could make more of an argument for that, for me, than you can for Frampton Warrington.
But you know, it's honestly the question is, will I buy all these pay-per-view cards? No, and I'm a mad boxing fan. I'm not going to do that.
No,
I'm just not paying for them because I don't think they're pay-per-view worthy, so I'm just not going to buy them.
I'm not adverse to pay-per-view. If I think something is worth paying for it, I will pay for it. However, I am happy to find an alternative way sometimes to watch these events. without paying for it, because if something's not worth it, it's the same as any walk of life. Like, if something isn't value for money, why would you give your money over for it? And I struggle with
too many. I mean, everybody's at it now. Everybody's looking at it as a cash cow, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I understand I'm fortunate enough to understand how the pay-per-view model works, which I've discussed with you before. And yeah, I mean, there's plenty of money in that.
the one that creates the biggest quandary for me, because I'm a traditionalist. I think of pay-per-view as being you've got a pot of money and you need to top it up to be able to make that fight. That's the only thing that pay-per-view should be for me, is that you've got two stars and so much on the line. And then you look at Bellew versus Usyk, and I think Usyk's never been a pay-per-view star. Bellew has got two circuses with hay under his belt. Is that really a pay-per-view? Yeah, see, this is what I struggle with. It's unified cruiserweight champion of the world against a guy who's now got, you know, a good name but a poor fight on his resume.
But this is still Tony Bellew who got stopped by Adonis Stevenson.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've a problem with a lot of the pay-per-view stuff. Again, if you looked, Dillian White, Josie Parker ended up being a really good card, didn't it? And it's really difficult. You can't blame boxers for wanting to take advantage of it, but the problem is going to be, is it going to get to the stage where people say that's enough and they turn off?
Yeah.
And that's what I think the risk is. People just switch off from boxing. They look at the other cards, which are sometimes now looking a bit poor, and the normal stuff they get on normal channels, they then think, well, it's not very good. And then
it's a bubble, and I think there's a risk that bubble bursts and you suddenly deflate an awful lot of what you've got. And I think maybe, I might be wrong, I think maybe the day that Anthony Joshua ends up on the canvas for 10 might see everything shrink a little bit.
Potentially.
If that ever happens.
Yeah,
of course, it may not ever happen.
No.
But I think that could be the precursor to an awful lot of kind of diminishing value within the sport. There was a question, I can't find it now, about Ricky Evans.
Yeah.
And his loss at the weekend, and where does he go now? I know Ricky's kind of answered that himself.
Well, let's start from the bottom, because I'm very honest. Managers and trainers are not perfect, and despite managers and trainers out there never wanting to admit they make mistakes, and they do things that they shouldn't do, Ricky Evans stepping up to 6 rounds was an error of mine in allowing it, and an error in his trainer Barry O'Connell for allowing it. And both myself and Barry spoke about this on Sunday. Ricky is a 20-year-old kid who is keen to further his career. He's a very, very talented young man, but he's not strong enough to go up to 6 rounds. But the problem in this world now is that boxers, and I had another one to me on Sunday, I want to go up to 6 rounds. No, because they're going up to 6 rounds before they're ready. The standard of journeyman will improve, will get better over 6 rounds. The lesser journeyman only fight over 4. When you go up to 6, not only are you covering the rounds, you tend to fight better journeymen.
Well, the board won't approve certain people for 6 rounds, will they?
Yeah, so that's how it works. And it was an error to allow Ricky to go up to 6 rounds at that time. My mistake. I'm not perfect, but I'm damn sure it's not going to happen again. And to Ricky's going down to 4 rounds now. And it's got to come with other fighters who rang me up on Sunday. One fighter rang me up on Sunday, and I'm going to say, no, I want to go up to 6 rounds. He's not ready for 6 rounds. My answer to him was, do you think you're better than Tony Bellew was at his stage of his career? ABA champion? Well, of course not. Well, Tony Bellew won the ABA title, did 8 4-rounders to learn his trade properly in the pro ranks. 8 4-rounders. So why after 3, 4 or 5 fights, if you're not really that type of fighter there, why you need to justify why you're going to be up to 6. Don't feel an entitlement to go up to 6 rounds.
Josh Warrington, you were saying.
Josh Warrington fought a 4-round, I think this was in his 12th fight. He did a couple of 6s. Then he went up to 10 rounds in his 13th, 14th fight. Josh Warrington was handled correctly. He has improved massively. Bellew, Warrington are examples. But these trainers out there, some of the trainers and some of the boxers, they seem to think, I need to go up to 6, I need to go up to 8. You really don't. You really, really don't, because you get there too early and you go. And Ricky Evans is the last time I will allow that mistake to happen. I will not allow it anymore. And that is something where I will speak to the trainers, because and Barry also has learned something from that. He's a fledgling trainer. I've only been a manager for 5 years, and if you take someone like Dean Powell, God rest his soul, Dean Powell would never have allowed Ricky Evans to fight over 6 rounds. Therefore, I've got to take responsibility for that.
Who has final say? Who overrules who? So if a coach rings you up saying, I've spoken with him, he wants to do 6 rounds.
Yeah, in the past, I've made some mistakes in allowing coaches to say, I want to take that fight. I'm not going back on who that is and what it is, when they shouldn't have done. The manager really has the option to say, no, I don't agree with you. I really don't agree. And then if you both if you end up disagreeing, then you start to have a problem.
Yeah.
But I think now it's a case of persuading them that they're wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the way that I'm going to approach it. I'm not a dictator, but I need to explain to them why they're making a mistake and going up 6 rounds. And one thing that's really important, and I said to one of the boxers on Sunday, look at punch stats. So when a boxer wants to go up 6 rounds, I'm going to look at punch stats. How many punches they've thrown in 1, 2, 3, 4? How many punch, and see whether their punch stats actually say that you should be going up to 6 rounds. And that's something I'm going to be doing now. So if I'm in any doubt, I'm going to look back at the fights and do the punch stats.
Yeah.
Because there are too many fighters that are throwing less punches in round 3 and round 4, and they want to go up to 6. And are they winning rounds 3 and 4? Are they coming on stronger? And there are some fighters out there that need to go to 6.
Yeah.
So this is not a cardboard, but some no. Generally, you've got to have good justification to go up to 6 early in your career, especially if you're young.
Yeah, there you go. There's your full warning.
Sorry, Vicky, you know we made a mistake, but we're going to put it right.
Yeah, and he'll come back.
He'll come back.
Excellent. I think that's all that we've got. We'll be back next week. I will actually see some action this week, so I'll be able to discuss it slightly more informed.
We've got hopefully have some fights to announce next week as well.
Yeah, some exciting ones as well. But yeah, your call Saturday.
Get down there and watch some exciting talent. These are stars of the future. Some really good kids out on Saturday. And I say, I'm really, for Leon McKenzie, it's his first fight as a coach.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for Leon to have his first fight out as a coach this weekend.
Look forward to that. Yeah. All right, excellent. We'll see you next week. Take care. Have a good week.